Hello, everyone. This is Dr. Peter Trzop, and was asked by a student to give a video on conversational tone and versus academic tone, and that's specifically dealing with writing and doing papers and assignments. So, I do appreciate the topic, and it's something that I never really thought too much of in the sense of doing a video, but for clarity's sake, it was a good suggestion. So, the idea is in education, especially online, there are times like with online work that conversational tone may be appropriate. For example, we have discussion posts oftentimes. And so we will take a topic, and typically your initial post is more academic, meaning you're going to write it, maybe do a little research, more specific, detailed, based off the textbook research, whatever, and that tends to be more academic. And then when you interact with students, it tends to be more conversational tone. We're having this conversation and we're discussing things, and it's an interaction of ideas, and we try to share our ideas but also listen to others and kind of work that and get a deeper understanding. It's like reflection but with more than one person. So that would be a time and a use of conversational tone that might be appropriate. But when we get into writing like papers or maybe even PowerPoints at some point or assessments at some schools, and the professor's talking about academic writing or that we should be developing more academic work, what conversational tone in a nutshell, like very simple, easy to see, easy to spot, is when I say I believe or you or we or they. Those are conversational type words. Or we use colloquialisms or so, comma, the things that make it look like you're talking. And with this voice text thing, a lot of students fall into that. They'll push on their phone, they'll say, oh, well, I can just do this real quick. Voice text, okay, this is what I believe should happen. And you're talking like a conversation, a discussion, and it's going in, and it makes it kind of look academic that you have good writing length, you developed an idea, but then one quickly finds out it's just a conversation. So, for example, when you find yourself talking and talking about I, we, us, they, then we know it's probably more of a discussion post or conversation and not so much academic work. If I want to go have a conversation, I always jokingly say I'll go down to Hardee's and talk with the old veterans, and we can solve all the problems in the world, and that's a conversation, right? And it's not really based on academics. It's not really based on good grammar, spelling, and it could be, but it typically is not. Or I can go to my kids and have a conversation and say, okay, what do you think about whatever topic? And then they can tell me what they believe and think. But there's very rarely any research, specific details, things like that. And so that's not so much academic. So why that's important is someone will say, well, but Dr. Pete, the assignment said, what are your thoughts on this? That's a good point. Just because something says, what are your thoughts, doesn't mean that you have to write in conversational tone. The idea is whatever you write is your ideas or your writing. And when you cite something that shows the ideas of others in your own words, that you cited it and give credit for the idea from someone, but you're writing it into your analysis and into your beliefs, okay, or your response. And so it's very important to note that just because someone says, what do you think is the best form of government, or what are your insights on this or that, whatever, it doesn't mean that if it's an academic assignment, it doesn't mean you have to start writing conversationally to do it. And I remember the first times I started learning that, it was very hard because I was always used to saying I believe and I think and I everything. And then I realized what the professor was saying. That's not academic. It's not good grammar. It's not good writing. It might be good for a conversation, but it's not good this way. So just look for obvious things. I, we, us, they, his, her. They. I also call them vague words. Sometimes people will say it or they or we, and it's like, well, who's we? We aren't doing anything. And then the student will say, well, what I meant by we was these people. Like, well, but how would I know that? When you're talking conversationally, sometimes people can put things in context or clues, like contextual clues. They can say, oh, I think I understand that hand signals, or I can understand what, based off of some past history, I understand that who we, us, they are. But that's not really true in academic writing. So what I would suggest to students is really focus more into the academic writing. I have videos, like the Goldilocks effect and how we cite and develop and how we have good grammar. Had old Parvin Gibbs tell me, good grammar never goes out of style. He always said good habits never go out of style. He had several things that were very similar to that. So I always like to say that good grammar never goes out of style. But the bigger key here is that it's not hard to see. It's just kind of hard to break. And then once you do break it, it tends to make for a lot stronger analysis and research and development. But if you get into the conversational tone, it's very hard to get back out of it while writing academically. So it's hard to write a couple sentences conversationally and then a couple academic. It's very difficult to make that transition. So it's just best to avoid it. Hopefully that kind of clarifies that a little bit. And thank you very much and best of luck.